All right, welcome into the 401 Conversations podcast. And on this episode, we're going to be talking about the top 3 mistakes that plan sponsors make. All right, welcome in to the 401 Conversations podcast. Again, I am Mike Neely with Equity 401k Consultants. I am the lead investment consultant and owner over here. And today we are going to be talking all about the 3 mistakes that I believe plan sponsors make when working with or starting their 401k plan. So let's jump in. So the first mistake that I primarily see plan sponsors make is that most of the time they don't understand the fee structure or what they're actually paying for the plan. And there's a number of reasons for this. A lot of times it's because when they initially set the plan up, maybe they took the easy route. They used their payroll provider to set up the 401k plan and use their product. And so at the time, it was very effective, right? It was cost effective in that it doesn't look like they're paying very much in overall administrative cost for the plan. And it just goes on as a billable to the payroll cycle that runs maybe every couple of weeks or once a month, whenever they run payroll. And so they don't understand that because it looks so simple, because it looks very cost effective, they're essentially paying everything in the underlying investments. And we've talked about this before on this podcast. I talk about it all the time. In fact, I'm very much against the way that these structures work, but it's called revenue sharing. And revenue sharing is what comes off of the expense ratio or the cost of the underlying investments, the mutual funds that are in the plan. And so when you have low administrative costs, especially in a startup plan or a payroll provider type of plan, then what happens is those costs are being made up in other places. 401k plans don't cost a little to run. They do have cost. And if you want them done right, just like a lot of things in life, it is going to cost you to have it done properly. And so when you don't understand your fee structure, you don't understand that you're paying for it in the underlying expenses your participants are. And that creates opaque fee structures or fee structures that are hard to understand. You can't pinpoint exactly how much that you're paying. And so this is a very common red flag and a common mistake that plan sponsors make. And it's not by any fault of their own, because unless you work with an advisor or you work with an administrative team or you work with somebody that has experience in this area, then you probably end up being stuck in this type of fee structure. And so it can create its own problems, its own red flags. Not understanding the fee structure or what you're paying and what your participants are paying to be in the plan, that is mistake number 1. Mistake number 2 is maybe not always a not so obvious one, but it's one that you might say, oh, Mike, you're being super biased in saying this or looking at this as a mistake. But I truly do believe in my heart of hearts that every plan should be working with a 401k professional, a 401k advisor that knows what they're doing, that understands ERISA, that understands what the Department of Labor would be looking for, that knows all of these things. Because it is very easy to make mistakes, and mistakes can get very costly very quickly. And the last thing you want is to pay a lot of money out of pocket to correct something that could have been caught early enough to where it wasn't an issue, or maybe there's a process that could be in place that could save you from that overall. That is something that a dedicated 401k professional advisor can help you with. They don't just help you with the investments. That is one part of it, but they also help you stay compliant. They also help make sure that you're meeting your fiduciary obligations under ERISA and for your participants. So mistake number 2 is not hiring a 401k professional advisor to help with your plan. The third mistake, and the one that I'm going to spend a lot of time on right now, is not setting up or having the proper processes in place for your company 401k plan to make sure that you are meeting your fiduciary responsibility to the plan. I talk to plan sponsors all the time, especially in initial conversations before I come on as the advisor to the plan. And a lot of times I find that there's chinks in the armor. There's areas where they could be missing something that could effectively open them up to fiduciary liability or a fiduciary breach. So what do I mean when I talk about having the right processes in place? Well, the Department of Labor and ERISA sets everybody up who sponsors a plan to be a fiduciary. You will always be a fiduciary to the participants of the plan if you are sponsoring that plan. And so what that means is that you are personally responsible for making sure that all of the decisions for the plan are made in the best interest of the participants. Again, personal liability. Your corporate veil is not going to protect you if something should happen with a fiduciary breach. And there's, of course, a lot of ways that we can help mitigate fiduciary liability or responsibilities. We can make sure that we outsource some of that to, again, a dedicated 401k professional advisor. That can be either a 321 co-fiduciary for the investments, or it could be a 338 investment manager fiduciary where they take on all the liability and responsibility for making sure that the investments are monitored and there's a process in place for those. We can also do what's called a 316 administrative fiduciary, where we can pass on some of the administrative responsibility, a majority of it, to somebody acting as a 316 administrative fiduciary. But ultimately, no matter how much liability we mitigate or how much we outsource those responsibilities, ultimately, you as the plan sponsor are still responsible to make sure that you have the processes in place to be able to monitor those other fiduciaries and make sure that they're meeting their responsibilities and obligations and that you are meeting yours. So having process in place is what's important. A lot of times we think because the plan is cheap, right? We talked about lower cost structures and different things like that early on in this episode with mistake number one, right? And not understanding fee structures. But if you do understand your fee structures and it is low cost, that's a good thing. But ultimately, the Department of Labor and ERISA defines fees as needing to be reasonable for the services rendered. So that doesn't always mean that you go with the least expensive, right? But what it does mean is that you have a process in place for understanding the fees and knowing why you're paying those fees. And you can document that and you can outline that if you ever should be in an audit situation. Process also looks like having an investment policy statement, being able to monitor and be able to make changes as needed and have the criteria to be able to document why you would make a specific change or how you are going to monitor the underlying investments in the plan. It's very important. Process matters. And it matters for the participants because it means that you are doing what is in their best interest. Having a process to document why you have hired a specific person to be either the 401k plan advisor or the third-party administrator or the record keeper to the plan. It's ensuring that you understand what they're providing and for what you're paying for that service. Having a process also means having a fiduciary folder, having that set up to have the necessary documents in it so that if the Department of Labor comes knocking on your door or the IRS or whoever comes to audit the plan, you have the ability to get them the documents that they need. You also have meeting minutes and things in there to help show that you have these processes in place to ensure that you are meeting your fiduciary responsibility as the plan sponsor to your participants who are participating in that plan. So let's talk about some quick action items. These are things that you could start doing today to make sure that you're setting yourself up to make sure that you're meeting all of those obligations and to help with these other mistakes that we talked about. So get a fee review. Number one, what does that mean? Well, it means that you should sit down with your provider if you don't have an advisor, or if you do have an advisor, sit down and do a full plan fee review. Have them explain to you what the costs are that you're paying. Is there revenue sharing? If there is, how is that set up? What's my average cost to those investments? And Overall, is there anybody that's in the plan that looks to be subsidizing the plan for everybody else because of that revenue sharing? Are they invested in a fund that where they have the most money and that balance is paying the most for the plan and subsidizing it for everybody else? Get those types of things reviewed so that you can understand what you're paying. You're also doing a plan benchmark every 3 to 5 years. Plan fee benchmark. That will make sure that you are meeting your fiduciary responsibilities under ERISA. Second thing you can do is hire a 401k professional, interview a few advisors. If you do not know where to start, you can simply Google it. You can ask other business owners that you know that have a 401k plan. You can even ask your third-party administrator or your record keeper if they have somebody that they could recommend to help you with the plan. But hire a 401k plan professional. Your participants might pay a little bit more. You might pay a little bit more to have that person, but you will be happy that you did take the time to pay those costs and those expenses. And lastly, besides doing a plan benchmark, make sure that you have your fiduciary folder up to date. Or if you don't have one, we can get you a checklist. All you got to do is simply message me, email me, call the office. All of my contact info will be at the end of this video, as always. Take the time to set up your fiduciary folder. We will send you a checklist that can help you build the foundation. And then make sure that you document everything and make sure that everything gets in there. Make sure that you have an investment policy statement. Make sure that you set up a monitoring process and make sure that you can show that you have these processes in place. That will save you ultimately in the long run a lot of headache, a lot of trouble, and it will make sure that you're able to show that you are acting as a prudent person and able to meet your fiduciary duties and responsibilities under ERISA if the DOL or the IRS should ever come knocking on your door. With that said, I just want to say thank you for taking the time, as always, to listen, to watch these. I know that I talk a lot about what things are out there and mistakes that are out there, but the point is because my goal is always to make sure that we are educating you and that we are helping in any way that we can the plan sponsors that are out there running 401k plans, because it matters. It matters for you. It matters for your business. And ultimately, it matters for the ultimate goal of retirement for yourself and for your participants. And we want to make sure that we're doing our best by providing the resources that you need to get that job done. Thanks again for watching. This has been another episode of 401 Conversations. And I'm Mike Neely, looking to help you elevate your 401k plan experience. See you on the next episode.